Breeders' Cup 2022, Keeneland Racetrack. Good evening and welcome to the Breeders' Cup study group. And tonight, the Derby Bandit and myself are going to be going over all of the Breeders' Cup races. We're going to try to take some of your questions and kind of get an overview of both Friday and Saturday. And also, we're going to give out some pick five tickets, take a look at some best bets, and also some long shots to consider. Right now, going to bring in to the broadcast, going to bring in the Derby Bandit. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening. How's it going?
Great, great. Now, last night, you went out and celebrated Halloween, but today was study day, and I think you've kind of mentioned you've got a little bit of strong opinions. You've kind of been going over these races. What can we expect tonight from some of your thoughts as we go over some of these races? What type of handicapper do you like to look at when you look at these Breeders' Cup races?
Breeders' Cup, normally I like to look at the odds, of course, like everyone else, because if I can find a pretty good price to beat a favorite, I like to take the shot, even though I know the favorite, like a strong favorite like Ness or someone. The only way I like to play those kind of races is to put a long shot in front of it, because that's the only way you're going to make money in this game is beating some of the favorites. But this Breeder Cup, I think, might be kind of chalky. So hopefully we'll get some prices in on that pick five ticket.
All right, we're going to try to go over every single Breeders' Cup race, and we're going to start it right away. It starts on Friday. The Juvenile Turf Sprint, we are going to have a full field, and we also have an also eligible in Bushido. Interesting here, I think a lot of people are intrigued by Tyler's Tribe, who's undefeated, Nick. And then you have Speedboat Beach, which is a Bob Baffert horse that ran on the turf as a 2-year-old.
Yeah, that's exactly what everyone's going to pretty much be betting. Everyone's going to be flocking to the number 10, Tyler's Tribe, first time going out on the turf. So I don't know, is he going to run good or not? I have a feeling his 15-1 odds are going to come down significantly come post time. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Now, in this race, I think favoritism is going to be pretty close between Persian Force, and then you've got Love Reigns, and then you've also got the Platinum Queen. I think those are the three that are going to vie for favoritism. Derby Bandit, what are your thoughts on the Juvenile Turf Sprint?
I have number 2 on top, Love Reigns. I have to kind of go with the favorite on this one. You're getting Wesley Ward and Irad Ortiz in this race, so 4-1. I hope it stays 4-1, but I doubt it'll probably go less than that. So that's what I got. Just the speed figures look good on this horse. The only thing I don't like is that it's coming out of post 2, a little bit on the inside. So hopefully it'll go out in front and stay there on the lead to the very end. Who do you got on top?
I'm leaning Persian Force. One of the things that came out last week is Blackbeard, who would have probably been the favorite in this race, was declared. And so I think that kind of opened it up for really any one of these 2 or 3 horses that are going to be bet down. And then, like Trish mentioned, Lady Hollywood drew that inside post. And I think one thing people need to remember is that a lot of the European 5.5 furlong races are straightaways. And over here, it's a 5.5 furlongs on a turn.
Yeah, that's exactly hopefully we just get a price in this race. So I believe I'm going to be going, let me see, I forgot how many deep I'm going on that pick five ticket.
All right, so we're off and running. Turf Sprint, my top pick is Persian Force. And Nick, you are leaning towards Love Reigns.
Love Reigns, correct.
All right, let's move along here. Second race of the day, Juvenile Fillies. And what's interesting here is I think overall people think this division's been a little bit weak, but you do have Chocolate Gelato and Tell Me No Lies and Wonder Wheel, the 3 grade 1 winners. What are you seeing here in the Juvenile Fillies?
This one I'm staying away from the number 10 Chocolate Gelato in this race. I just look at the speed figures and ran the first time out, ran a 70. I used Equibase, by the way. Then an 85 and an 81 in the last race going 1 mile. So I just think it's a little bit light compared to other horses. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think in this race, it can help if, I think for trifectas and exactas, I kind of want to do some partial wheels. I was just wondering if American Rocket might finally get a little bit of a speed to run into. And she kind of looks like a plotter in those shorter fields, but there's a chance here that if the race falls apart, American Rocket could come running late.
I actually like that horse a lot. Was it 2 back at Saratoga in the Spinaway when he was like bolted to the right to the concession stands and then finished a strong 4th. So that's what I'm definitely going to be using underneath, and probably the 3rd or the 4th spot for me. But for me, I'm just going to go with the number 5 Wonderwell in this race.
Okay. Now, Chop Chop ran second in Keeneland, just missing at the wire, trained by Brad Cox, and Chop Chop, I think, is going to be bet down a little bit from the morning line. What about Raging Sea? That's a tough post.
Yeah, Raging Sea coming from the outside. I believe he came in, what was it, 3rd to lost by a neck to Chop Chop and Wonderwell. Those are the 3 main horses that I have in this race. Is going to be Wonderwell, Chop Chop, and what was it, 14, post 14? Yeah, Raging Sea from post 14. So I don't know. Hopefully they duel it out again. One of them gets there at the wire. So it might be a close race. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I thought Chocolate Gelato was workmanlike in her 2 wins. The 8-length maiden win was a very impressive effort, but I thought she regressed a little bit. And sometimes those candy rides can go a little off form quickly. So Chocolate Gelato, I think, probably will be the favorite just because of Todd Pletcher back to, grade 1 victory. Last year we saw Echo Zulu kind of parlay that Frazette into the Fillies, but I'm not opposed to a price in this race. Even My Girl has got a nice little pedigree in this race.
Yeah, that's another good one. Plus, you got Johnny B on board in the irons for that one. But on Echo Base is showing it ran a 79 speed figure. So
a lot of people seem to be talking
Gelato. So I think I'm gonna leave that one off my ticket altogether.
Any thoughts on Atomically?
Atomically, let me see. Where did I write down? I saw that it won by 6 3/4 lengths in the last race out.
Kind of drew away.
Gulfstream Park, but it's I don't know. Horses that come out of Gulfstream Park, I tend to just shy away from them.
Okay. So I think here the contention runs deep. I would call this more of one of the wide open races for spreading on my tickets for the pick 5s and things like that. 3rd race of the day is Juvenile Fillies Turf. And what's interesting here, this is kind of where we get our first US Euro matchup, and they're going to go a little bit longer than the sprint. First off, Exgeria drew a wide post position.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I'm shying away for the 13 in the win spot. As far as exactas go, trifecta wheels go, I went with number 5, Pleasant Passage in this one, especially with it being 12-1 odds for Claude McGahee. Plus, you got Irad Ortiz on board in the irons. And it won by 3/4 of his length the last time out and earned a 92 Echo Base speed figure. So give me 12-1 on Irad Ortiz. That's what I'm taking, because I rather bet Irad at a price versus him being a favorite. And it seemed to be working at Saratoga.
Okay, Siggy Mendoza says, is Exgeria wide post a concern? I do think it could cause a little bit of trouble, but with the turf course, I think they've had some rain, and the fall weather has been overall pretty nice. So I think Delight is one that a lot of people are going to use. I think Be Your Best. Free Look, Chad Brown has done well on the Juvenile Fillies on the turf. And I think a lot of people are going to make the case for G. Laurie.
Yeah, I got Free Look as my second choice on here. But like you said, you have Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt on board. So it's got pretty decent Echo Base speed figures on that. So I don't know. I think the 4 or the 5 is going to get there. But my Euro contender number 1 pick is going to be number 1 Comanche Country. Sorry.
All right, Comanche Country out of that first post position. I'm leaning towards Free Look. I am going to take a longer look at this race. Mediate is kind of interesting, and then also G. Laurie is another one that I want to consider, and that one I'll probably be using in my daily doubles as well. So that is the Juvenile Fillies Turf. Let's go now to the Juvenile. This is the feature race on Friday, I think, for a lot of handicappers. And the 4 to 5 morning line favorite is Cave Rock. He owns 2 of the 3 fastest Buyer speed figures on the season so far, Derby Bandit.
That's correct. And I doubt he loses, which is why he's going to be a single in my wagers, pretty much like 99% of the rest of the country. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to make a case for anybody else in this race besides Cave Rock. But if you do take a shot against him, just do so responsibly.
You know, it's been kind of a rough year, especially for the turf horses from California when they come east. You know, that's my only concern is with the small fields out west. Cave Rock, you know, really that last race, Bob Baffert ran 1, 2, 3, 4. And you know, he's kind of just been working out against those horses. Plus, this is the 4th race of his form cycle. Now, normally, you know, 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been a concern, but the way a lot of horses only run, I mean, Bob Baffert ran Taba in the Kentucky Derby this year off 2 races. Like Cave Rock's a veteran compared to Taba and some of these other horses. Does that concern you at all, already having maybe running too fast too soon?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of compared, I'm not going to say he's got flight line speed figures or anything, but coming out fresh as a 2-year-old running high speed figures, I mean, he could just be a good horse. I mean, that's pretty much the only way how I see it is that he's just that good. So
now Blazing Sevens ran on sloppy tracks 2 times in a row. The first time ran up the track, and then the last time really took to it in the Champagne. And Chad Brown, in all of his quotes, he just keeps on saying this horse needs longer. This horse wants longer. He finally gets a mile and a 16th and 2 turns.
Correct. That's going to be the one that I'm going to pick in my longer pick 5 ticket to upset Cave Rock. It's going to be Blazing Sevens because he ruined my last pick 5 ticket that he raced. So I have to throw him in there for this time around. But he's a good horse. I like him. I have nothing bad to say. Ran a 95 Equibase speed figures, so I'll take him over Verifying and Forte to beat Cave Rock. Throwing that out there.
I do want to mention, I think the only horse that can really run with Cave Rock early is Hurricane J. This horse is trained by Paul Lobo. He's by Nyquist, back-to-back wins. Last time took a little bit of heat on the front end. Now, he had a rail trip all the way around, but he's got 2 wins in Kentucky, and one of those wins was at Keeneland. Hurricane J may be up there, especially drawing that 1 hole. I don't think he can afford to lay back in this spot, Nick.
Yeah, he's a good horse, but a little bit light on the speed figure side, so that's the reason why I left him off, or I'm going to leave him off the ticket altogether.
Now, a horse that I'm kind of going to be tossing on my tickets is Curly Jack. I thought the race kind of fell apart the last time in the Iroquois. There was a couple of bet down horses, Damon's Mound. You had Echo again. And Curly Jack got the job done that day at 10 to 1, but his speed figures are a little bit light.
Yeah, same thing. I liked him whenever he first started out. And then he kind of went 5th place, 2nd place. And then I didn't bet him in his last race. And of course, he ended up winning. So I'm taking this. I'm leaving this one off the ticket. If you want a price to use underneath, I'd rather use the number 10, the other Bob Baffert, National Treasure.
Yeah, that's my top selection in the race. I went with National Treasure. Yeah. Yep. I just like the fact it's his 3rd lifetime start. And then I thought that last race, you know, once Cave Rock kind of took the lead by 2-3 lengths, I thought National Treasure just kind of galloped around the track and didn't really try too hard to close down the lane. And I think they'll be trying a little bit harder in this spot for the big money.
So I got a question for you. Do you think he actually runs this race, or he's just going to be there to set up Cave Rock? It's kind of play deep away.
Well, I think he's capable of coming off the pace. I think with that post position and the way Hurricane J drew, and if people don't remember, National Treasure broke his maiden on the same day that Flightline won the Pacific Classic. And the track was a little bit fast that day. The early fractions on the other shared belief stakes was 21-4. National Treasure did 21, and Flightline did 23, going 1.25 miles. So I think if National Treasure runs well here, I think it kind of flatters Flightline a little bit for that speed figure. I'm still kind of torn on Flightline speed figure for that day, but National Treasure, he ran a 1:16.4 on that debut race, and that's a nice win for 6.5 furlongs.
I might actually throw him on your ticket now that you're making a pretty good case for him, because I saw him on the sheet, but I was like, man, I don't know if Baffer's just sending him out there just to make sure K-Rock doesn't lose and no one tries to sneak up by him or something. But I mean, hopefully he goes. I know they're owned by two different owners, so that's the only thing that worries me is he really going to show up to race? That's my question with National Treasure.
10-horse field. It is race number 10 on Friday, Future Stars Friday. Here we go. We're going to close it out. And Nick, hopefully you did your homework, because this is a full field on the turf. And again, you've got the best American 2-year-old turfers, and then we bring in some Europes. And, Paxa Wallop, this horse has really been kind of pulling away out west. I'm kind of intrigued by him a little bit.
He's going to be my third choice going out for Jeff Mullins, and Big Money Mike Smith is going to be on board. So he's a nice horse. I mean, I can't say nothing bad.
What about Mo Stash? I think a few people are going to be leaning in that direction.
Mo Stash. Let me see what I put on him. I don't know. I'm not too keen on his speed figure for this one. Actually, he ran a 93 the last race, but I'm looking somewhere else in this race.
All right. Well, my top selection was Silver Knot. I just like the European form. I was impressed with the win the last time out. I thought, he kind of got to remember they raced counterclockwise. So when you watch the replays, he was coming to the left of the screen on the outside when I was watching him. But, one of the things with the European races this year is a lot of times they like the cover, and a lot of their fields have been small too. So some of these horses I think could maybe improve because they're finally going to get the full fields that they want.
I agree. And that's what I have on top too is number 4, Silver Knot. Charles Appleby, he's going to be bringing the best. So I don't know. I think Victoria Rose, another interesting one that I want to take a shot at to throw on the ticket. 8-1 morning line odds. Aiden O'Brien, Ryan Moore is going to be on board. It's won his last 3 races, the last 3 races out. So cutting back a little bit in distance from the last race. So there's no speed figure, of course, because they're Euros, but never know, it can show up and run a big race.
All right. Pyrotechnique says Battle of Normandy. The Ravaged Grapefruit says, and the winner is. Richard Avalar says Paxa Wallop acts like a 3-year-old, according to Money Mike Smith. And Trish has a question for you, Derby Bandit. She wants to know if you think Curly, Larry, and Mo will be on the lead like his last race at Keeneland.
I think it might, but the speed figures are too slow. So, I mean, it might go out to the front and set a fast fraction, but it ain't going to hang with Silver Knot or Victoria Road.
Normally, Trish, in a race like this, it definitely, the race flow favors the closers. Now, that doesn't mean that Curly, Larry, and Mo won't be on the lead, but it's hard for me to back a closer in this race.
Yeah, you might get a piece of the try or the superfecta, but I don't have them nowhere near the first and second. And as far as number 6, the winner is it's getting Joel Rosario on board in the iron, so I'm tossing that one.
All right, your first toss of the day, huh?
Yeah, I'm tossing this horse. It's 5-1 Wayne Catalano. If you like him at a price, if you want to use him in like an exacta will, I mean, it's a safe bet. It's not a terrible bet, but just my opinion is that Joel Rosario is going to be on board, so I'm not going to use him because Flavian Pratt rode him the last 2 races out. Now Flavian goes to the number 8. I'm very busy, so I'll be using number 8 though in the pick 5.
Now, my top pick is Silver Knot, but I have impressed by Paxa Wallop, and this horse is one of the few California horses that I'm going to be throwing on my tickets both days. Paxa Wallop, I think, at the price has just been too impressive for me not to include this horse on a ticket.
Yeah, that's why I have that horse too. I'm going to be using it in the exacta too. I'm going to play an exacta box on this one, the 1, 2, 4. Hopefully that Victoria Road gets there for first at 8-1 or higher. So,
all right. It's time for the Derby Bandit pick 5 for Friday, the late pick 5. It's Future Stars Friday. Let's walk through your ticket. Of course, it starts in race 6, and it looks like you've got a single. Why are you singling in race 9, and who are you singling?
Let me see. We'll go back to it. Oh, Cave Rock. Yeah, no one's, like I said, I don't think the other backer is going to show up to his full potential, so I have to go with Cave Rock, like 99% of the rest of the country. What do you think?
So I think that's what a lot of people are going to be leaning. Now, it looks like race 8. So like how I design my tickets, and maybe you do the same thing, is whenever I use like 4 or 5 or 6 horses, I like to call that a chaos race. So It looks like for race 8, that's the one that you're just going to toss in the kitchen sink.
Yeah, race 8, I'm going to spread in this race because there's a couple of long shots or semi-long shots, like number 2, Cairo Consort. That was going to get Joe Rosario, so that one, I'll make a case for him to be a rider upgrade. 12-1 morning line odds. He's got pretty decent speed figures, and it's improving. It's ran a pretty decent workout, so I don't know. That's one that, in case of the race falls apart, he can show up and close it out. So that's why I'm going to use that number 2.
And then race 7, you're going to go with the Chop and Wonder Wheel. You're kind of just going to go with the Keeneland race over the track and trainers and everything else.
Course for course in this race.
Okay. That is the Derby Bandit Future Stars Friday late pick 5. We are now going to move on to the Saturday races, Nick. And I wanted to talk about the Classic because I wanted to spend an extra minute or two. Did draw an 8-horse field. We've got 3 3-year-olds. We've got 5 older horses. And the first thing I'm going to do is pull up Flightline's past performances. Nick, have you ever seen past performances quite like Flightline's?
No, sir, and that is mind-blowing because watching the last race live, I couldn't even talk. I was just in shock. Like, what did I just watch? Kind of reminds you from the what was it, the Secretariat movie at the very end when he just like runs away. It was crazy.
Now, he won by 19 lengths, and he picked up a 126 Beyer speed figure. And, of course, it was high on Equibase. Brisnet gave him the fastest figure of the year. So it seems like every speed figure agreed that this guy ran fast that day.
Oh, yeah. He ran everyone, beat everyone by like a train length. So, I don't know. He's going to be a single for me. If he loses, I deserve to lose my pick 5 ticket. Just put it that way.
All right. So we're going to get to your pick 5 ticket later on. But Pyrotechnique says Flightline is a freak with a fire symbol. You're going with the same theory?
Definitely. That's like I said, he's hard to make a case against in this race. Like, I don't know. I can't land on anyone else in this race, especially after going against him in that last race at Del Mar. But man, it's just he's on a whole nother level. I don't know how to explain it.
All right. Now here's a horse that was a little bit before my time and your time, but I did read a book on Spectacular Bid, and he had one of the more outstanding 4-year-old campaigns in history during that 78, 79, 80 period. Sadler says Flightline could be another Spectacular Bid. But so how are you going to, now it sounds like you're going to lean heavily on this horse in your pick 5.
Right.
Now I think Epicenter is going to be the second favorite, and Life is Good, third favorite. If you had to pick some exactas, how would you play the exactas in this race? Because it's not so much who the second best horse is. What if a couple of horses get burned out trying to keep up with Flightline?
I'm going to have to throw this out there and say Rich Strike, the Kentucky Derby winner, could hit the exacta for second. Everyone knows he's a strong closer, so that's pretty much the only way he's going to end up being in the top 3 positions. So normally I don't like to play races like this, especially whenever we have a 3 to 5 favorite. He's probably going to be even less than that going off at post time. But you want to use the a price underneath. He's going to be Rich Strike's going to be probably the biggest price, or Happy Saver. Either of those two, I think, are pretty safe bets to use underneath if you want to put them on top. I don't know. This race is, like I said, it goes through flight line. If he doesn't win, I don't know. It's just going to be a major disappointment for everybody.
Now, my top pick in the race is Flightline, but I'm doing two straight exactas. I'm doing Hot Rod Charlie for second, and I'm going with Taba for second. I like the workouts for Taba. I think he can come more off the pace. And I think Hot Rod Charlie, he's capable of coming off the pace. And you got to remember, last year, he ran a 107 in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And because Nick's Go went wire to wire, and a lot of times that 107, that could normally, on a normal year, be good enough to kind of compete for the win. So if Hot Rod Charlie lays back, I think he can run second. I think if he tries to run up and
he's not going to hang with Flightline.
Okay. What about Life is Good?
Life is Good is the distance is too far for him. That's what I take from Flightline. If it's going to be a mile race or a mile and an eighth, maybe he's got a better shot, but not at a mile and a quarter. I don't think he shows up. He might get third or fourth. In this race, I will be trying to hit the super high 5. So I'll be posting that later on.
Okay. So
I like Hot Rod Charlie for second. I might throw him in that bet.
Okay. Now, Happy Saver, he is one of the few horses that he ran the closest of any horse to Flightline. He ran second in the Met Mile, only losing to him by 6 lengths. So his claim to fame is he's as close as anybody that's ever ran to Flightline.
Yeah, I'm seeing right here on Equibase, it was a 122 speed figure. So I mean, he can run it, but is he going to run it on Saturday? That's the question.
Yeah, I think, and sometimes you don't get to the end of the year and these horses have had long campaigns. Now, I think Epicenter was rested after the Preakness. Then you had Taba got a good, big, long break after the Kentucky Derby. Happy Savers only ran a few times this year. Any concerns that Flightline has only had 2 races this year?
I don't think so, because he's been taking those long breaks after his races. So kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit when you see the last race in September and the span between his last race before that. So is he coming back too soon for his running style of going all out? That's a good question, but I don't know. I just think he's just that good of a horse. So I can't make a case against him.
All right. Well, we both are picking Flightline. My second place exacta is Hot Rod Charlie. Yours is Rich Strike.
Rich Strike, correct.
All right. Either one of those would actually pay.
I got to get a price in there somehow.
All
that's
right.
That's the only way you're going to make money in this race is if you either beat Flightline or you put the longest shot underneath him to run second. That's my opinion. All
right. Now, Smith Johan says, big money, Mike Smith and Taba. I used to see Mike Smith ride out at Canterbury in Shakopee, Minnesota many years ago. Sandy Hawley used to be out here. Ron Hansen, Mike Smith. So, yeah, I used to watch Mike Smith take on the local jockey colony here at Canterbury. Now, the next race is going to be the Turf. This is the race right before the Classic, and another full field. And I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this one because Rebels Romance is getting some play. You got the filly against the boys, and some people are liking Mischief, who hasn't won a race in 2022.
Hey, let people bet Mischief so the other prices can go up, because he's not going to win this race. He hasn't, like you said, he hasn't won all year. I doubt he shows up to the Breeders' Cup and wins. It's my opinion.
Okay. Any thoughts on Broom? Broom ran in this race last year, comes back. His form has been a little bit shaky, but he's been running on a lot of soft turf courses. I thought when I was looking at some of his races and his past performances.
Yeah, Broom's not a bad horse. I'm going to use him underneath. But plus you're getting 12-1 morning line odds, and you're getting Irad Ortiz on board. So I'm not saying he's going to win, but you have Irad Ortiz on board at a price. So like I said, before. Anytime IRAD's at 6-1 or greater, I always like to use him somehow in the exotics because
All
somehow
right.
he just makes it happen. He always shows up.
Now, Steve has a question. Can Bye Melvin wire him?
No, I don't think so. Not in this
No.
race.
Okay. Now, Stone Age came over and ran against the 3-year-olds and Nation's Pride. Charlie Appleby has both Nation's Pride and Rebel's Romance. Rebel's Romance is an older horse, and Nation's Pride is the 3-year-old. He won the Belmont Derby.
Correct. And that's what I have on top is going to be number 5, Rebel's Romance. I don't think, Nation's Pride, he's a good horse, but I think he's just a little bit too young right now to beat this field. But I'm going to use him on the ticket. So.
All right. Now, I do want to talk about Rebel's Romance. This is one that I'm having a hard time really, I don't know, endorsing, just because my biggest concern is he ran in kind of the German grade 1s, which normally would be maybe a grade 2 in Europe. And it just seems like the Gloria Stakes grade 3, like why did Charlie Appleby take the soft route with Rebel's Romance this year?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I just saw the whatever replays that I could find of him, and he looked solid in every single race that I saw. So it's kind of hard to make a case. Well, I found it a little bit hard to make a case against him in this spot, just because he's a Euro coming over, and his record, he's won his last 5 races out. So that's why I made him my top pick.
All right. Well, this is one of the first major disagreements on the day. This is going to be my fate of the day. I'm tossing the German Form. I'm tossing that Gloria Stakes. I like Nation's Pride. I'm going to be leaning on a little bit of Warlike Goddess. The only 3 things you can count on, Nick, is death, taxes, and Channel Maker running in the Breeders' Cup turf every single year.
Yeah, hey, he always somehow ends up running every single year. You're right.
So, he's kind of set the pace. He's actually ran some big races at long prices in this race. Any chance he's able to finish in the Superfecta here?
Oh, I think so. He can run 3rd or 4th easily in this race. Like you said, he always shows up. He's just one of those horses that he won't win, but he's gonna hit the board somehow.
Now, Williams says Warlike Goddess 5 for 5 at the distance, 2 for 2 at Keeneland. Lady taking on the boys. 2 races back, everybody saw that rough trip. I think a lot of people were kind of wanted to. Yeah, the Rosario
yeah,
rode him
that
that
was
day.
That was me. Pretty much he blew up my ticket for that day as a single. So that's another reason why I do not like it. I do not like her in this race is because she's getting Rosario. If she would have got Liscano, I would have felt better about using her in the exacta. But for that reason, I'm leaving her off.
Yes, Bill Mott has won this race. Theatrical. I remember Theatrical a long time ago. And Richard says Alleged, ridden by Lester Pugat, was one of the all-time greats. Yeah, Alleged was. I remember seeing past performances with horses that lost to Alleged. Now, Highland Chief, I don't like this post position. He's kind of been an in and outer. And you've got Stone Age, who, ran in that last race. Another one who I think likes a firm course.
Yeah, I have Highland Chief as my second pick. So the reason why I'm going to use him for second or as my second choice is because it's 15-1, all the speed's on the inside. Johnny V knows his course. He knows a horse. He rode it the last time and it ran a 117 Equibase speed figure at Keeneland. So he's gonna come prepared for this race. So that's why I have him running second.
All right. Chris says he disagrees with my German Group 1 theory. He says Alpinista was targeted at them, and then she won the Arcs. So very good point. I think what I like about the Breeders' Cup is that with the different racetracks and the bigger fields, it allows you to have an opinion and you get, normally you got a 6-5, 4-5, 7-5 in each race. You're getting 7-2 and 4-1s. And if you're right, your opinion, you can actually make some money on this day, Nick.
Yeah. Definitely. That's exactly why I like betting heavily on this day, because it's always just more money in the prize pools. And if you're right on your opinion, you definitely get paid.
Yeah, my goal is to try to have one winner each day. And, normally on most years, if I can get one winner each day, I have an okay Breeders' Cup.
Definitely. I'm going to throw this out right here in this race. Number 10, Red Knight. That's what I got as my long shot play in this one.
Okay. Red Knight, definitely. Masterpiece, I think, is going to be all of 50-1. That one won a couple of races back at a price, has come in other races second as a long shot. So that one you may want to take a long look at as well. Next race we have is the Dirt Mile, the Big Ass Fans Dirt Mile. We gotta call it correctly here. And this one got a nice field. Cody's Wish beat Jackie's Warrior the last race.
Yes, he sure did. That was a pretty good race too. So is Jackie's Warrior? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm trying to find my notes. I'm sorry. What race number is this? Race 8?
Yep. Dirt Mile. Simon says Rebel's Romance will be a bigger price than Warlike Goddess. That could be true. I think Warlike Goddess is going to get a lot of steam on Saturday.
Yeah, I hope so, because I'm going to have a win bet on Rebel's Romance.
All right, this Dirt Mile, I like to really dig into these races. We've got some 3-year-olds. Law Professor ran second to Life is Good in a big effort in the Woodward. Gun Night is coming back on 2 weeks rest. And then Pipeline set the pace in that Jackie's Warrior race along with Cody's Wish. But Slow Down Andy, he's a 3-year-old, and Simplification, those 2 3-year-olds along with Gun Night, what do you think about their chances in this race? And then Cyberknife on the cutback. Talk about the 3-year-old scene, Nick, in this race.
I think it's going to be a pretty close race, and I think this is probably like one of the more wide open races, I guess. I don't know. This is race 7, right? Or which? Because I saw race 8, but it said FanDuel Cup Mile.
This is race 5, Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile on Saturday. Yep, Slow Down Andy.
Race 8, I was like, I'm not seeing it on here.
So now Richard says, best story of the Breeders' Cup is Cody's Wish. Yes, it is a great story. Steve says the 2-turn Dirt Mile needs to go away. That is one interesting comment from Steve, because with the run-up, basically this is really 1 mile and 70 yards, I think I read with the run-up.
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you think that helps a closer like Cody's Wish, or even Cyberknife, who's used to running a little bit longer?
I think it definitely benefits a horse like Cyberknife just for that reason. But this race, I have number 6, Laurel River on top. So I don't know. Like I was saying, I think this race is a little bit more wide open than what the odds suggest.
Senior Buscador is one of a couple of New Mexico breds that'll be not New Mexico breds, but they've ran in New Mexico. He had a big win a couple of weeks ago. And then remember on Derby Day when 3 Technique at 30-1 blew up everybody's pick 5.
Yeah, I'm going to be using Senior Buscador in this race too.
My top selection was Laurel River. I just was impressed with that 7 furlong race. I like the fact that he beat American Theorem on the square at 7 furlongs. The race before that, American Theorem had won the 6 furlong Bing Crosby. I think Pipeline I think the mile is really his best distance, and I could see him on the lead and possibly uncontested for a little bit. That's true, but I don't like how Irad went to Laurel River versus staying on number 3 Pipeline since he rode him last. So I think he kind of had maybe he might have had a choice on who he wants to ride for, and he took Laurel River. So that's one of the reasons why I'm leaving the 3 off the exacta. And the other thing is simplification. If you go way back, he, of course, his best races have been at Gulfstream. I think that's the big
Yeah,
question.
down in Florida.
How can he do away from Gulfstream? But he does have a good mile and a 16th races that might suit him well if he can run over the Keeneland surface.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not going to use him in the win position, but for second and third, maybe even fourth, I think he's got a good shot to get a piece of it.
All right, moving along to the sprint, the fastest sprinter in North America. We're going to find out. Now, back-to-back years, we've seen Jackie's Warrior favored in a Breeders' Cup race. This will be the third straight year that he's favored in a Breeders' Cup race. He's 0 for 2. What do you got on Jackie's Warrior here, Derby?
Jackie's Warrior, let's see. I mean, the race is pretty much going to go through Jackie's Warrior. So, I don't know. If he decides to show up, no one's going to beat him. But if he falters, then I think number 2, Kamari, can definitely beat him coming down the stretch.
Now, so Wesley Ward does well at Keeneland.
Oh, yeah.
And he's had good success running the fillies against the boys. So the reason why she's not in the filly and mare sprint is because that's 7 furlongs and this is 6 furlongs.
Yeah, the shorter distance is definitely going to help. Ran 6 furlongs and 6.5 furlongs. Last 2 races out, pretty strong speed figures. So I think that's probably why, like you said, they opted to go for 6 furlongs. So now that's going to be my top one to beat Jackie's Warrior.
The big news yesterday was that Jack Christopher is not going to run, and I think that makes Jackie's Warrior probably 4 to 5 now.
Definitely, if not, it's going to be shorter than that. And I think I read that what's his face, Jack Christopher's in church right now because he's scared.
Yeah, he
scared to face Jackie's Warrior.
Yeah, the 2 Jacks, that would have taken a lot of money. Now Maniwa, he got to face Whitmore a couple of years back, so he had a nice win the last time. One of the horses that I like in this race that I will be using on all of my tickets is American Theorem. And I know he's a little bit of a closer, but what I like is 2 races back in the Bing Crosby, he made a sweeping 4-wide move and he took the lead at the 16th pole. And usually deep closers don't take the lead right before the end. So I like the fact that he's got a little bit of a kick. And then as a 3-year-old, he ran in some classier races. They kind of put him on the Derby trail a little bit. So I like those type of horses. I love the cutback. I like those horses when they cut back to 6 furlongs. You usually get a price. American Theorem's a big gray, and George Papapadromo is having one of his better years. I think American Theorem is going to come rolling down the lane.
Yeah, that's another good choice right there. Like you just mentioned, everything you made a case for. I mean, I overlooked the Bing Crosby like you were talking about. So I'm definitely going to add that one to my other ticket. It's my larger wager ticket. So I'll be throwing that one in. But like you mentioned, Manny Waugh, that's another good horse to hit the board. It's been hitting the board okay, I guess, the last couple races out. So it's going to be a price of 30 to 1 or more.
Now, last year at a price, Aloha West came in, and everybody seems to be overlooking him again. Do we need to do a second look, read of the past performances on Aloha West, or are we okay with ruling him out?
Nah, I'm not going to use that one at all for the win. I'm not sure. Let me see. I included him on my pick 5 ticket for the show, just for that fact. Just what if he decides to show up and run big? But I have another long shot that I want to talk about.
All right. Now, one other thing, another potential speed horse is Super Oko. Then talk about your long shot.
Okay. Yeah, that's another good horse. I saw the race at Santa Anita, but ran a 98 Equibase speed figure. Hector Barros is going to be on board in the irons for this one. So if you like him, use him. I mean, I'm not gonna rush the window to make a win bet or anything. But how do you feel about him, the number 7?
Yeah, I'm going with American Theorem. I like Elite Power a little bit, and then I like Jackie's Warrior. But I do think, I've been watching the Breeders' Cup since about 1986, and some of these longer price sprint winners have been older horses. So it does make me take a second look at a horse like Maniwa, even CZ Rocket. Like we've had some, 6, 7-year-olds run pretty competitively at a price. I think people, even Whitmore a couple of years ago was 15-1 after running in the race a couple of times. So I do think this is a race where you can get a price. If Jackie's Warrior does go off at 4 to 5, 3 to 5, you could make the case for 5 or 6 horses. I'm making the case for American Theorem.
That's a good one, like you said. I'm gonna add that one in, but not for this show. But the one that I want to talk about is going to be number 3, Obesos.
Okay, what do you like about Obesos?
I like the fact that he cut back in distance. 2 races back in Keeneland, went to 7 furlongs, came in 3rd, but he ran a 108 Equibase speed figure. Then the last race at Churchill Downs, he won by a head and earned a 101 Equibase speed figure. So if the pace falls apart a little bit, he could be one to close and hopefully beat Jackie's Warrior. I'm going to place a small win bet on him just for fun.
All right. Now, here's an interesting angle. Nick, do you ever, like Siggy mentions that Super 8 is fast early.
Yes.
And he says he could be a factor in the result of the race. Now, I see where he's coming from here. Sometimes I want a horse to run good because I think they can mess up the pace and allow another horse that I like to win. Do you ever handicap that way?
Yeah, sometimes it just depends, but this is one of those races. If you want to use a horse like that, Super Ocho, this would be the spot to do it. So if you're right about your opinion, you will definitely get paid in this race.
All right, so you're leaning Kamari is kind of a little bit of a price. Jackie is going to be tough. I'm leaning American Theorem, and then I'm going with the 2 closers. I like Elite Power and I like American Theorem. I think they're going to be running late. Hopefully they're just not running out of real estate behind Jackie.
That's a good pick. So I like that. I'm going to definitely use that number 4 in my larger ticket.
All right, Filly and Mare Sprint, another full field. We just looked at the sprint for the boys. This is the Fillies. Now we go 7 furlongs, and you've got last year's Juvenile Fillies winner, Echo Zulu, for Steve Asmussen. She's a 3-year-old, but she won her last race off a long layoff. She might be back.
Yeah, she could be. I'm trying to find my notes real quick. What race number is this?
Echo Zulu, of course, on Saturday. This is going to be race number 3. We're going to have 2 prep races, and then we go into the Breeders' Cup race number 3.
Okay. Yeah, Echo Zulu. If you like her, use her, but I don't know. I didn't like the post draw for this one.
Okay. Steve says Obligatory is going to be rolling late down the center of the track. She had a big win at Gulfstream Park earlier this year. What about Goodnight Olive? She's lightly raced. She's reeled off 3 big wins for Chad Brown.
Yeah, she's going to be my top pick in this race for that reason.
Speed figures, class, or what do you like about Goodnight Olive?
Yeah, pretty much just the winning streak that she's on. Chad Brown put Irad Ortiz on board in this one, so he's going to give his best horse the best jockey and the best chance to win. So 3-1 more line odds. I'm not going to put no win bet, but I'm going to be using the number 8 on top. So
all right. Now Richard says his best bet of the day is Slammed from New Mexico, 15-1. Nick, you'll be watching the races from New Mexico. Yes, if Slammed wins, you buying everybody a drink at the bar?
I'll be at Zia Park on Saturday, so be looking out for me. I'll be wearing my shirt.
All right.
That's actually what I have as my long shot play. I put it right here. I got you. Number 1.
What about Cece? She won this race last year. She beat Gamine, kind of a surprise that day. This time around, she's being given a little bit more respect, but she's got to face last year was only a 6-horse field. Now she's got to face a full field.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. This one I just kind of brushed off to the side. But if you like her, I mean, I can't talk you off of her. She's gonna be better than 4-1. That's for sure. I don't think she's gonna stay at 4-1 odds. I think she might float up a little bit.
Two horses that I think I see a lot of speed in this race.
Yeah,
Chi-Town Lady, Edgeway, Frank's Rocket, Hot Peppers, Wicked Halo. Like, I kind of like the fact that Slammed can come off the pace. I think CC can come off the pace. Obligatory can come off the pace. Last year we had March Lorraine at 70-1 from Japan. What about Chain of Love? She'd blow up every ticket at the track.
Yeah, she would, but just one win this year, so that's kind of the reason why I shied away for this one. Plus, we haven't really heard too much about it, so I don't think there's any kind of hype coming into this race. But you're getting William Buick on board in the iron, so if you want to just bet him just because of the jockey, I mean, it's up to you really. But I'm not going to use this horse at all.
All right, Joe says Hot Pepper has a lot of speed. Yeah, I do think the key to that filly and mare sprint is how you handicap the speed. That could help or hurt Echo Zulu. If she's 3 or 4 wide, that could hurt her chances. I feel like this is a spread race, William. William says he's got a bunch at 6-1, and that's about way I'm at. I'm thinking spread in the sprint and, try to be alive and then try to use a couple horses that maybe might go up a 7 or 8-1. Like I think Slam could be 10-1. Chi-Town Lady, even Obligatory is going to be 7 or 8-1. So I think there's some ways you could go with this one. Let's move on to the next race.
Real quick, what do you think about Frank's Rocket?
Frank's Rocket, what I like about her, she's faced the best of her division both last year and this year. Her form, her speed figures put her right in the mix. What I don't like is that I think she's not fast enough early to clear. And at 7 furlongs, I just think horses like CC and Slammed and Edgeway and Obligatory and even Hot Peppers can all just motor late. And even Echo Zulu, she went a mile. She went a mile in the 16th. Like, I just think the grade 1 class is going to roll at 7 furlongs. If it was 6 furlongs, I'd like her better.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I had her as my 3rd pick, so I had Obligatory for 2nd.
Okay. All right, now we've got the turf sprint, and Golden Pail is going to try to win a Breeders' Cup race 3 years in a row and back-to-back years in the turf sprint. Will you be wearing a Golden Pail hat on Saturday, Derby Bandit?
Yes, but I don't know. I like this horse a lot, but I don't know. I think this could be a spot to play against him, maybe. What do you think about that?
One of the things is I think if he loses, you've got about 8 or 9 horses that'll be involved in a blanket finish. Now, he does like Keeneland. I think he's the fastest horse, and I think he's in good form. My pick is Golden Pail, but my long shot is 30-1 on the morning line. Go Bears Go finished 2nd last year at 12-1. No respect this year, Nick. They're putting him at 30-1 again, and I'm going with the Bears. Go Bears Go.
That's a good pick, but I went with the other 30-1 in Artemis City Limits. But I like that pick. I can't argue with that one. He's going to be a good price. Like you said, not getting no respect at all, so he's not going to be on a lot of people's tickets. So if you can get that one home, you're definitely going to get paid on that one.
Now, I don't know if you remember last year on Belmont Day, Nick, we had, of course, the big horse. We had the Belmont Stakes, but earlier in that card, the grade 1, it was Casa Creed winning that race at 6 furlongs, came from behind, got a 2-time grade 1 winner. And interesting that they went to the turf sprint rather than the mile, and she beat Regal Glory in the mile. He did.
Yeah, those are both good races. I saw both of those. But, yeah, like you said, it's a little weird how they opted for this race instead. But if you like Casa Creed, I mean, I can't say nothing bad, really. It's got pretty good strong speed figures. So that's one that I'm not going to put on a win bet on, but I'll be using it for 2nd place in the exactas.
One of the horses that always seems to, one of the things at Breeders' Cup, I always ask myself, why is this horse in the race? And Emirati Anna seems to always be in these big days and, never really does anything. But I'm always like, why do, a horse like that, I always just kind of want to take an extra look at. You're going with Artemis City Limits, 14th post position, but I think it could be a scramble after Golden Pail.
Yeah, that's true. I think another reason why is because when it says owner, it says Godolphin. So they're definitely going to throw in their horses in the biggest spots possible. But, I mean, if you like Emirati Anna, I mean, could close, like you said, pick up the pieces. I'm not going to use it, though. But if you use it, you're definitely going to get paid.
Now, I think Golden Pail was 1-5 the last race at Keeneland in that prep race. He's probably going to be 6-5, maybe even money in this race just because it's a full field, I think.
Yeah, it could be. I think it might be even lower than that, but
okay.
We'll see what happens come post time. I know one that's kind of getting overlooked, or that's also also eligible, is going to be number 15, Dancing Buck. If this horse gets in, I'm definitely going to throw out the rest of all the bets that I have, and I'm going to put him in first to beat Golden Pal.
Creative Force is another one I think you can use.
Creative Force, I have that one highlighted too. I like that. That one too is from trained by Charles Appleby. And to get William Buick on board in the iron, so could be there at a price, 10-1 morning line odds.
All right, let's Filly and Mare Turf. Nashua is the favorite. You've got Miss Encine, Family Way, Ruger, who won at Woodbine the last time. Virginia Joy, she loves the distance. And then you've got the Speedball in Italian.
Correct. I have Nashua on top just because, I mean, I saw some of the race replays, and Holly Dole, she puts this horse in the right spot at the wire, so it's kind of hard to go against it.
I know some people are talking about Moira. She, of course, had run some big races this summer, and then they moved her to the turf. And some people have Moira as their best bet of the day on Saturday. Yeah,
I've seen that on a couple of posts on Twitter, but I don't know. I saw some race replays, but I wasn't too impressed by it.
I will mention that I was actually considering Miss Encine because she was pre-entered also for the turf, and I kind of liked her in that spot. So I will be using her on this race. My problem is with in Italian. One, God, it's just hard to imagine this race being one wire to wire, but she does seem to have a speed edge. And if all year long, we've seen that if a horse ggets a 2-3 length lead, sometimes they just come rolling in and everybody's tearing up tickets.
Not only that, but people, it's like they get discouraged when they see someone go to the front just like that, and they just kind of hang back and watch them win. So I have an Italian as my second choice.
Now, Wayne says going to Vegas could maybe challenge in Italian on the front end. Do you think that's possible?
If it reverts back to his last race out at Santa Anita, definitely can. Plus, you're going to get 21 plus morning line odds on that. So that's one that I used in that last race, and it won. So it wasn't really that big of a price, but it's a nice horse. I mean, I like her.
All right, now we've got some lads from overseas joining us on the broadcast here. Simon says it's going to be hard to beat Nashua. Anybody else have a strong opinion? It seems like Nashua and Above the Curve are getting a lot of talk from the people that seem to know the European form. I probably spent a little less time on this race than I did on some of the other races, mainly because the Americans, I kind of know them. And then when I started looking at replays, I kind of got smitten by this Miss Encine, but that's when I thought she was going to be in the turf. Going to Vegas, I'm not sold on her just because I just don't like the California turf horses this year.
Yeah, especially they're shipping over, so you don't know how they're going to handle the turf over here in Keeneland. So yeah, I'm leaving that 2 off, but I like that number 6, Miss Encine, however you pronounce it. 30-1 could get a piece for second, third, fourth in the exotics. So you're going to get paid on that one.
Wayne says he likes the 3 euros above the curve, Nashua on Tuesday. Simon says he likes Tuesday, would want a little bit further. He says she needs a little bit further, but she does have class, like Steve says. I agree with that. So filly and mare turf, to me, I think that that's a spread race. What about you?
Same thing. I have like 4 horses highlighted that I'm going to be using on my ticket. Nashua, Tuesday, Missing Scene, Toy, and an Italian. But I might be dropping Toy, so we'll see.
Mitch says he likes Moira. And Richard, shots have been fired. He says Joel Rosario is going to show him his backside the entire way around.
Yeah, it could happen. You never know.
All right. Here's your late pick 5 ticket. Race 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And the Derby Bandit has 2 singles. Let's talk about your 2 singles. Why do you think that's the strategy? You know, this is really a $70 ticket, but you said you may play a little bit bigger ticket. But the reason why I like doing these smaller tickets is because it makes you think with a smaller bankroll, and then you can always do either multiple tickets or add on. Start Flightline. That's your best bet of the day. If he loses, you'll be walking home, right? You're going to sell your car and put the car in hock, or
get
what?
a second mortgage out and put it on Flightline to win. No, definitely not. I singled, of course, Flightline, then of course Nest in race number 9. I don't know. Just if Nest doesn't win, then I have no idea what to even think of, because on paper, visually watching her race, I mean, she should just wire this field basically. I'm excited to be first on the lead, but she's going to be right there in the first 2-3 positions, and she should close this race out.
So you're going with race 10, which is the turf, as your spread race, it looks like.
Yes, that's going to be a whole bunch of random horses. I don't know. Let me see. That's one: Rebels Romance, Highland Chief, Broom, Red Knight. I don't know. It's hard to make a case, like you said. I know you weren't too keen on Rebels Romance, so I feel the same way. But I had to pick one horse as a win, so that's why I went with number 5. But as far as horizontals go, I'm spreading in this race.
Yeah, I'm going to lean heavily on Warlike Goddess. I'm going to use Highland Chief. I'm going to use a little bit of Mishriff. I'm only going to probably have about 20% of my money on Rebels Romance, maybe even only 10%. And that's only going to be with some shots in the other race. One of the things I do with my pick 5 tickets is I never include 5 favorites on any ticket, because 1, it never happens. And 2, if it did happen, it wouldn't pay anything. So I purposely will do 7, 8, or 9 tickets.
Yeah, I'll be playing this ticket, and like I said, I'll be playing a bigger ticket. So there's one thing I want to bring up in race number 9. I've been using Secret Oath in their last couple of races as pretty much kind of as a single a little bit. What do you think about her showing up in this race and picking up the pieces at the end coming down the stretch at the wire to win?
I'm kind of down on Secret Oath. I just think she's had too long of a campaign. I thought that really that Preakness kind of did her in. They ran her in the Arkansas Derby. Then, she got beat by Nest. Now, granted, those were small fields. I think the bigger field helps her, but I don't know. I really think Malathaat's getting good. I think Search Results is going to run her best race. I think Society's in there to set it up for Clairiere. I guess if you like Secret Oath, then you want Society to go out there and set 109 fractions.
Yeah, I think that's what's definitely going to happen. Society's going to go to the lead and try and wire. So I don't know. And plus, you're going to get 6-1 on Society. Do you plan on using that one at all?
Not for me, because my theory is if you didn't go to the wedding, don't go to the funeral. And I actually liked Society the last time. So I went to the wedding. I'm going to stay away from the funeral, hopefully.
Yeah.
my lean is Malathaat, but I don't know. I see a lot of people kind of doubting Nest, and this is one where maybe the speed figures aren't as good, but boy, I kind of know class when I see it, and it's 9 furlongs. It's
Yeah.
not like it's a mile and a 16th like the cotillion was. To me, the grade 1 races are either at 9 or 10 furlongs, and I think class is now in session at 9 furlongs with Nest.
That's correct.
And also Clairiere barely beat Malathot at Belmont Day. So I like Malathot and Nest. I think Clairiere you can use. I think she'll be a little bit of a price. I think search results you can use. I'm going to be tossing Society. I'm going to be tossing Secret Oath. So if Secret Oath wins, you're going to have to buy me a drink at the bar.
Sounds good. Yeah, see, that's it though. Like, and I think this is one of those races like the classic, to where everyone's gonna have Nest, everyone's gonna have Flightline, everyone's gonna have Nest and Malathot in this race. So, I mean, like you said, if it comes out really chalky, I might make the $70 back, because I know was it last year's Pegasus World Cup Day or whatever? I had a $72 ticket and pretty much mostly chalky, and it paid 71 something.
Oh, so you lost.
I won, but I lost like 60 something cents or something like that.
Yeah, that was really chalky though. That was
one way to play this ticket, so that's why I came up with this ticket for $70.
All right, so now let's take a look. Your best bet of the day. It can either be an exacta, a daily double, a win bet. What's your best bet of the day?
Let's see, best bet of the day. Let's see, race number 7. I'm gonna play an exacta. Obesos over Jackie's Warrior.
All right. The Breeders' Cup Sprint.
$50 exact on.
I'm going with Laurel River. I'm going to go with the Dirt Mile. I think he's going to be right around 7-2, 4-1, and I'm going to try to key him in a double and key him on top in an exacta. Laurel River is my best bet of the day. If any of our viewers have a best bet of the day, get them in. And then also I wanted to talk about some long shots. This is kind of a list of some horses that I think could maybe run well to be in either the trifecta or the superfecta. I've got Mishriff, Arrest Me Red, Hot Rod Charlie, Go Bears Go, Broom, Family Way, Above the Curve, and Slow Down Andy. Do you think any of those horses could maybe hit the board for a trifecta or superfecta, Derby Bandit?
Definitely Hot Rod Charlie's he'll be there either in 3rd or 4th position. I know you said you like him to run 2nd. So I mean, that's a pretty good bet. Go Bears Go. You said it was going to be 30-1 morning line odds. Could float up a little bit, probably a little bit less, or probably go higher. So I like him. I'm going to use Go Bears Go since you mentioned him, and I'm also going to use Artemis City Limits. And then Slow Down Andy. I don't know about long shot for that race. I think the speed figures are a little bit too slow for him. But Mishriff going, what is it, 1.5 miles?
Yep.
I know normally he's been winning at 1.25 miles, but like you said, hasn't won it all this year. So hopefully a lot of people don't play him, and if he wins for you, then you're definitely going to make some money on that.
All right. Well, Derby Bandit, we went through all of the races. If people want to find you on Twitter, what do they look up?
Just Derby Bandit. Same thing for right here on YouTube.
All right. You've got a YouTube channel. Are you going to be doing anything for the Breeders' Cup, or are you starting to get ready for Derby?
No, I'm definitely going to be posting during the week, and then we'll start thinking about the Derby after this coming weekend.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining us. The Derby Bandit tonight, his best bet is going to be Obesos and Jackie's Warrior, and his pick 5 tickets. He's got both a pick 5 ticket for Friday and Saturday, and he is going to be leaning heavily on Nest and Malathot and then he likes Flightline. So we're either going to go big or go home on this day, huh?
Yes, sir. That's the only way to do it.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us,
I
Derby
appreciate
Bandit.
you having me on the stream.
All right. Yep. Derby Bandit, thanks for joining the show. And that's going to do it for our coverage tonight. For those of you still watching, I do believe I will be doing another show on Friday night, going over the races for Saturday. We're going to do a little bit of a betting show. And also we'll take a little bit more of your questions. We've got Wayne says Jackie's Warrior, Flightline, Nest, and Nashua. Well, that one will not pay much, maybe only about $90. I'm going to try to play 3 favorites on some different combinations. I'm going to be leaning on Laurel River. I like Obligatory. I like Go Bears Go as a second or third place horse. I think there's a lot of speed in that filly and mare sprint. I do think Elite Power and American Theorem can run well in the sprint. In the Classic, I'm leaning Straight Exacta, Flightline over Hot Rod Charlie and Taba. So we've got a best bet. Use Reckoning Force underneath. So Williams says he's going to go up in odds. That's a look at Breeders' Cup 2022. Stay tuned. I will probably be doing another show on Friday night.